You ever notice how the loudest people are often the most afraid? The ones who shout their anger, their sorrow, their opinions from every rooftop, those are the ones with hearts like trembling paper. But the one who walks into the room with calm in her eyes, with silence like a thunderclap, that's the one who knows herself. That's the one who has learned. I stand before you today not to teach you how to feel nothing. That would be inhuman. I stand here to teach you the art of wearing grace like armor, because in a world that profits from your panic, your peace is protest. And your poise, oh, your poise is poetry. Stay with me, because before this speech is over, you'll learn not just how to act unbothered, but how to be unshaken, not because you don't feel, but because you know what feeling deserves your fire and what deserves your silence. There is a myth, old as time, bitter as ash, that grace is for the weak, that to be composed is to be cowardly, that the one who folds their hands and bows their head must be yielding to the weight of others. But I tell you now, with every ounce of breath I've ever drawn, grace is not weakness, it is mastery. Grace is not born in silence, it is born in the storm. You do not stumble into it, you fight for it, you build it, thread by thread, in the dark hours when no one is watching and your name has been dragged, your patience tested, your worth questioned. Grace is a decision, 1,000 decisions actually, made quietly, made daily, made with full awareness of your power and a deeper understanding of when not to use it. The child kicks when it is angry, the fool shouts when he is afraid, but the wise one, the truly wise one, smiles, because she knows there is strength in restraint. She has learned that not every opinion needs a reply, not every insult needs a return. She has learned that holding your peace doesn't mean you have none. It means you value it too much to waste. I have seen people mistake calm for weakness. They watch a woman walk away from confrontation and say, she's too scared to fight, but they never saw her battles. They didn't see the wars she fought to earn her stillness, didn't see her biting her tongue when the words would have burned the room, didn't see her hold her tears back when the world expected her to break. That is not weakness, that is discipline, that is wisdom, that is triumph. To carry yourself with grace is to say, you will not decide who I am today. It is to walk into the room not needing to dominate it because you already belong. It is to resist the bait of chaos, to protect your spirit like it's sacred ground, because it is, because it must be. When you act with grace, you aren't pretending that nothing touches you. You are deciding what is worthy of your response. You are choosing not to bleed for those who would not have bandaged your wounds. You are choosing dignity when degradation is easier. You are choosing to rise when it would be easier to roll in the dirt with those who threw it. There is power in turning the other cheek, not because you are blind to the insult, but because you see it for what it truly is, small, beneath you, not even worth the weight of your words. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. Let them mock what they do not understand. You carry on, because your grace is not about them. It is about your soul, your purpose, your peace. And peace, my dear, is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. It is forged in fire. It is built in heartbreak. And once you have it, you learn to protect it like treasure. That is what grace does. It guards the garden of your heart. There is a quiet kind of rebellion in grace, a rebellion that says, you may have shaken my world, but you will not move me from my center. You may take away the comfort, but you will not take my character. You may bruise my name, but you will not steal my light. And make no mistake, grace is not passive. It is active, it is deliberate. It takes every ounce of strength to remain kind when the world is cruel, to remain gentle in a room full of teeth, to remain loving when you are unloved. That is a kind of strength steel cannot measure. The graceful are not the ones who win arguments. They are the ones who don't need to. because they have learned. Winning small battles often means losing your greater peace. They understand that sometimes silence is the greatest sermon, that walking away is sometimes the loudest thunder. You do not need to fight every fight. You do not need to attend every argument you're invited to. You do not need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Walk on, child. Head high, smile soft, spirit still. There will be those who mock you for it. Let them. You've seen what they haven't. You've lived what they couldn't. You've carried burdens they wouldn't survive, and you still stood up. You still chose softness. You still chose love. That is not weakness. That is mastery. There is a kind of thunder that does not shake the walls. It does not boom through the sky or rip the air with rage. No, it arrives quiet as a breath, steady as dawn, and heavier than truth. That thunder is silence, and it speaks louder than fury ever could. We live in a world where noise is mistaken for power, where shouting is confused for strength, where fury is worn like a badge, as if loudness could prove you are right or strong or in control. But let me tell you, noise is cheap, anger is easy. The real challenge, the higher calling, is in silence. It takes nothing to react. It takes everything to remain still. There is a silence that's hollow, yes, an emptiness that hides cowardice or apathy, but the silence I speak of, the silence that roars, is the kind that comes from knowing who you are. It's the silence of someone who has wrestled with their spirit and come out gold. The silence of a person who knows that their truth doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. You see, fury is hungry. It feeds on attention. It craves reaction. But silence starves the fire. It chokes the chaos. It removes the air from the room where drama hopes to dance. When you respond not with fire, but with stillness, the world doesn't know what to do with you. And that's exactly where your power lives. I have seen people puff up with rage, trying to bend the room around them. I've seen words thrown like knives, eyes burning, hands shaking. And then I've seen someone meet all that heat with silence, calm, sure, unmoved. And it is not the rage that stays with you. It is the silence, that echo, that restraint, that grace, that control. Because silence is not the absence of response. It is the response. It says, I see you, but I will not match your energy. I will not hand you my peace just because you lost yours. It says, I am not here to battle shadows. I am not here to explain myself to noise. You do not need to throw words like stones to make your point. You do not need to clap back, bite back, scream back. Let the world wear itself out with its noise. You, sit still, breathe deep. Let your silence be the answer that confounds them. Because nothing is more terrifying to those who seek to provoke than the one who cannot be provoked. And that is not passivity. No, that is control. That is discipline. That is power wrapped in velvet. You are not suppressing your voice. You are choosing when and how to use it. You are refusing to be dragged into the mud by every hound that barks at your heels. Some battles are not won by fighting. They are won by refusing to show up, by walking away with your head held high and your spirit intact, by knowing that peace is not something they give you. It's something you refuse to lose. Let them wonder what your silence means. Let them fill in the blanks with their own insecurities. Let them argue with themselves while you move on. For every moment you stay silent in dignity, you're building a fortress inside, one that rage cannot burn, one that fear cannot shake. We are taught to fear silence, to fill the quiet with chatter, with protest, with explanation. But silence is not the enemy. It is the elder. It is the space where clarity grows. It is the home of wisdom. It is the pause between lightning and thunder, where everything that matters is heard best. If you must speak, speak from stillness. Speak from truth. Speak with the voice of someone who does not need to yell to be heard, But if your words would only add more fire to an already burning forest, then do not light the match. Let your silence be the water, the extinguisher, the miracle. You owe no one your fury. You owe everyone your calm. Hold it close. Let it protect you. Let it lift you above the noise, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. And in that nothing, you say everything. Control is not about grasping the reins of the world. It is not about commanding every person, every place, every plan to fall in line with your will. No, true control begins not with the outside, but within. It is quiet. It is personal. It is earned in silence and guarded with intention. Control, my dear, is an internal choice. We grow up thinking we must conquer the world to find peace, that if we can just organize every piece of life, every voice, every mood, every twist of fate, we will finally feel safe. But safety, real safety, does not come from domination. It comes from self-possession. It comes from knowing that no matter what breaks loose around you, what is within you stays rooted. That kind of control is not given. It is claimed. There are people who mistake control for manipulation. They confuse it with puppeteering, with pulling strings, with trying to dictate the actions and feelings of others. But you are not here to control other people. That is a losing battle. You will wear yourself down trying to manage hearts that are not yours, minds that were not made in your image. And every time you try, you drift further from your own peace. What you can control is how you rise in the morning, how you breathe when things fall apart, what you say when the room is filled with tension, what you do with the hurt, the joy, the fear that visits your chest like weather. You can control how long you let pain stay and whether you feed it or free it. That is the power you hold. That is the battlefield you command. To choose internal control is to decide over and over again that your energy is sacred, that your emotions are yours to shape, that your joy cannot be taken like a purse on a park bench, vulnerable to passing strangers. It means standing tall, not just when you are praised, but when you are challenged. Not just when all is going well, but when the world tilts suddenly and without warning. You have to ask yourself, who do I become when things go wrong? That answer tells you everything about your control, because storms will come. They always do. Loss will come, betrayal, disappointment. Doors will close, words will sting, people will forget your worth. But even then, especially then, you have a choice, not a choice to avoid the pain, but a choice in how you carry it. Whether you let it shatter your reflection or whether you walk through it with your chin raised and your spirit intact. You can fall apart without giving yourself away. You can weep without unraveling. That is the kind of control I am talking about. The quiet knowing that says, yes, I am hurting, but I will not become the hurt. That is what makes you unbreakable. The world will tell you to be reactive, to lash out, to defend every bruise, to respond to every offense. But control says, I do not move unless I decide to. It says, I will not waste my breath on battles beneath my spirit. And it does not mean you are cold. It does not mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, so deeply that you will not allow your soul to be tossed by every passing wind. You will meet people who try to shake you. Some will do it deliberately, and some without even knowing. They will try to provoke a piece of you. They will test your peace. And your response, or lack of it, will teach them who you are. Not through volume, not through rage, but through composure, through discipline, through the unspoken language of self-trust. Control is not about bottling your feelings. No, feel them, let them visit, let them speak, but don't let them drive. Don't hand them the wheel and then wonder why your life is headed toward chaos. You are the captain, the navigator, the pilot of this being. Choose wisely. You will find freedom not by trying to manage everything and everyone, but by mastering your own state. You will sleep easier when your peace is not dependent on how others behave. You will breathe deeper when you realize that your worth does not swing with someone else's opinion. You will rise higher when you stop trying to hold the sky and simply learn to stand still beneath it. The greatest form of control is knowing that you are enough even when the world is uncertain, that you can stand in the middle of the storm and say, I do not control the wind, but I control my sail. And that, child, is more than enough. Every morning, before you open your mouth, before your feet touch the floor, you are already rich, not in silver or gold, not in fame or applause, but in something more valuable than any treasure known to man, your energy, that invisible, powerful force that moves you, fills you, guides you. It is yours, and it is precious. Your energy is your currency, and just like money, it is limited. You don't have an endless supply. You cannot hand it out without consequence. You cannot give it away freely and thoughtlessly and expect to remain full. You must learn to treat it like something sacred, something rare, because it is. Each thought you dwell on, each argument you entertain, each person you allow into your space, you are spending energy, not just time, not just attention, energy. And when you look back at the end of a day and feel worn, feel hollow, feel like you've run 1,000 miles without moving an inch, that is not always life being cruel. That is sometimes you giving too much of yourself to what doesn't deserve it. There will always be takers, people who drain you without guilt, people who survive on the drama, the chaos, the never-ending circle of complaint. They will draw you in, ask for your time, your advice, your heart, and give nothing in return but fatigue. They don't mean harm always, but they take. And if you are not careful, you will spend your best self trying to fill someone else's emptiness while your own soul goes starving. You must understand, not everyone deserves your energy. Just because someone has access to you doesn't mean they should. Just because you love them doesn't mean you owe them your peace. Love must not come at the price of your spirit. Generosity must not come at the cost of your joy. There are people who confuse being available with being valuable, but your worth is not in how much of yourself you give away. Your worth is in knowing when to say no, when to rest, when to walk away. You cannot heal every wound you didn't cause. You cannot fix every situation that's broken. And you cannot show up fully for others if you are constantly emptying yourself to do so. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is wise. It is necessary. You do not let strangers walk into your home and take what they please. So why let anyone walk into your mind, your spirit, your life, and rob you of your peace? Start asking yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my time, my heart, my thoughts, my presence? Will this build me or drain me? Will I walk away feeling nourished or exhausted? If the answer leans toward depletion, then child, you must let it go. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without standing in the storm with them. You can be kind without being consumed. You can support without sacrificing yourself. There is a balance, there is a line. Find it and honor it. And then when you do choose to spend your energy, do it with purpose. Invest it in your dreams, in your healing, in your passions, in the people who pour back into you, in laughter that leaves you full, in work that makes your spirit rise, in moments that bring you closer to your truth. That is how you build wealth, not of money, but of meaning. You see, energy compounds. When you spend it wisely, you gain more. When you focus it on growth, it multiplies. When you give it only to what deserves it, your life begins to bloom. You walk taller, Breathe deeper. Love freer, because you are not leaking energy into every crack and corner of life. You are channeling it like light through glass, directed, clear, and powerful. So protect your mornings, guard your evenings, watch what you consume, not just through your mouth, but through your eyes, your ears, your spirit. Everything you allow into your space is either feeding you or feeding off of you. Choose wisely. You are not a machine. You are not here to serve, to prove, to stretch yourself thin in the name of being enough. You are already enough. And your energy, this vibrant, invisible force, is what makes you human, what makes you divine. Treat it like gold. Spend it with intention. Not every battle is yours. Not every call needs answering. Not every invitation is a compliment. Learn to say, "This is too expensive for my soul," and then walk away in peace. Because at the end of the day, you are not just surviving, you are building a life. And that life should be rich, not just in things, but in peace, in power, and in the quiet joy of knowing that every ounce of your energy went where it truly mattered. There is a power that doesn't announce itself. It does not stomp into a room. It does not wave flags or raise its voice. It does not bare its teeth or beat its chest. No, this power arrives like still water, like soft earth, like the breath between lightning and thunder. That power is composure. Composure is not the absence of feeling. It is not coldness. It is not retreat. Composure is knowing exactly how deeply you feel and choosing to stand anyway. It is the steady hand in the fire. It is the clear eye in the storm. It is the slow breath when everything in you wants to scream. And it cannot be stolen because it is not given by others. It is earned moment by moment in the silent negotiations we have with our own spirit. You have seen it. That woman who moves with calm through chaos. That man who listens, eyes steady, while the world tries to rattle him. You wonder what it is they hold that you do not. But it's not that they haven't known rage or grief or fear. It is that they have made peace with it. It is that they have learned how to hold it without being held by it. Composure says, "I have nothing to prove." It says, "I know who I am, even when others forget." It is the quiet refusal to be dragged from your center. It is the strength to let others thrash while you choose stillness. That kind of strength doesn't come from pride. It comes from practice, from countless moments when you could have reacted but didn't, when you could have struck but breathed instead. People will test you. The world will tempt you to break your character. You will be misunderstood, provoked, underestimated. There will be words said about you that are not true or not fair or not kind. There will be situations where the easy choice is to shout, to slam, to cut back. But easy is not always powerful. Loud is not always strong. The real might lies in restraint. There's something disarming about a person who stays composed when others lose control. That steadiness becomes its own kind of language. It says, "I will not give you the satisfaction of seeing me unravel." It says, "You do not have that kind of access to me." And in that quiet declaration, there is power. The kind of power that can't be bought, can't be borrowed, can't be taken. Composure is knowing the difference between response and reaction. A reaction is immediate. It is emotion without direction. It is the spark without the firelight. But a response, that is deliberate, that is thoughtful, that is power under guidance. Some people will see your calm and mistake it for weakness. Let them. They don't know the wars you've survived to walk in peace. They don't know how much strength it takes to bite your tongue, to unclench your fists, to swallow pride for the sake of your own evolution. You do not need to explain the cost of your composure. Just wear it. Let it speak for you. There will be moments when your silence will be louder than any reply. Let it echo. Let it say what words cannot. Because sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is not to fight back, but to rise above, to hold your dignity like armor and walk away from anything that threatens your spirit. And when you do speak, because composure does not mean silence forever, speak with purpose, speak with clarity, speak with intention. Let your words carry weight because they were chosen, not thrown. Let your presence command the room without you ever having to raise your voice. In this world that feeds off of reaction, off of outrage, off of immediacy, composure is rebellion. It is a refusal to be dragged into the fray just because the crowd is running. It is a choice to build your own rhythm, to move at your own pace, to protect your peace like it's the last flame in a cold night. And that's what it is. Composure is your internal flame. It is the warmth you carry when everything else grows cold. It is the light you hold when others stumble in the dark. When you possess it, truly possess it, nothing outside of you can break you. They may try, they may push, they may shout, but you will not give them your center because it is yours. Composure is not the mask, it is the mastery. Not the silence of the fearful, but the stillness of the wise. It is the answer that does not flinch, the step that does not stumble, the spirit that does not beg to be seen. And when you carry that kind of power, child, you do not chase validation. You become the proof. You become the calm in the quake, the rhythm in the noise, the mountain in the wind. That is composure, and that is power. Power that cannot be stolen. So the next time they try to rattle you, love, smile, straighten your spine, lift your chin, and let your silence say, I am not moved. You are not stone, but you are steady. You are not cold, but you are clear. You are not heartless, but you have learned which storms are worth dancing in and which are just noise. Act as if nothing bothers you, not because you don't care, but because you care too much to be pulled down by what does not deserve you.